spreadsheet or used a program like Excel, then you're probably familiar with tables. Tables are basically grids arranged into columns and rows. You can use them to organize and emphasize certain pieces of information or to create complex page layouts. It's very simple in Microsoft Word to begin working with tables. Your first step is to insert a table into your document. For example, we'll create a table in the new document that we have open. First, we'll click on the document to add the insertion point. Then go to the Insert tab. Then click the Tables button located in the Tables group. We can see there is a grid of several small boxes. The boxes represent the number of rows and columns our table could have. We'll create a table with 4 rows and 4 columns. From the left corner, we'll move down and then right 4 boxes. The table shows in our document as we hover over them. Once we see the table is showing the way we want, we just click to create it. Tables are divided up into cells, rows, and columns. Each box in the table is a cell, and the cells are arranged horizontally, which are rows, and vertically, which are columns. So now that we've identified the parts of a table, let's look at the other ways in which we can add them. When you create your table, you may want to set it up so the columns have a specific width or to make sure your contents fit into the cells. We'll click below our first table and add another one that will fix the column widths to 1 inch. To do this, we'll return to the Insert tab, click the Table button, and select Insert Table. The Insert Table dialog box will open. We'll create our table with 3 columns and 4 rows by modifying the number of the columns and row fields. Then increase the fixed column width to 1 inch using the arrows and click OK. Our table has been created and each column is only 1 inch wide. If you know your table is not going to be uniform, you can also draw a table using the Draw tool. This is particularly helpful when using tables to create complex page layouts. For example, we'll draw a table that has unequal rows and columns. We'll add it below our second table, but it could be added anywhere in our document. To do this, we'll click the Table button and select the Draw Table option. Our mouse pointer turns into a pencil tool. Now we click and drag the pencil where we want to place our cell. We can even divide our cells by clicking the border on the inside of the cell and drawing straight across or up and down. Now we'll click the Draw Table button in the Draw group to turn it off. More than likely, you will want to add text to your table. For example, we'll add text into our first table. It's very similar to adding text to a text box. Just click inside a cell and start typing. Let's expand the row so we can see our text a little better. You will probably also want to change the position of the text within your cell. We can change the alignment of our first cell. You can decide where you want to position your text in a cell. We'll use the alignment buttons to determine where we'd like to place our text. In the Alignment group, under the Table Tools Layout tab, we have alignment buttons that allow us to quickly choose where we want our text to be positioned. We can choose to center our text, have it aligned to the left or right. We can also decide if we'd like to have the alignment show on the top, in the bottom, or in the middle. We'll choose the Align Top Center button for our first cell in our first table. We can see the change in the cell. Now let's choose the Align Middle Center button, and we'll keep this as our final alignment. It's important to note that we can format the text position for multiple cells or even the entire table. All we need to do is select the cells or the table and choose the formatting we want. Microsoft Word also lets you convert text, so it will now be located in a table. This is especially handy if you've already written information that you think would be more effectively conveyed in a table. Let's switch to another document that has text we'd like to convert. We'll need to format our text so Word knows where we want our text to show in our table. Commas let us identify where new columns begin, and when you press Enter to move to the next line, a paragraph marker is inserted that identifies where a new row begins. Once we have set up the formatting, we can select the text, click the Insert Table tool, select Convert Text to Table, and the table with the current text is created. Word 2013 also comes with a group of table templates that allow you to quickly create things like calendars and lists. We'll create a table using one of the templates by clicking the Table button and choosing Quick Tables. Now we can scroll through the available templates and choose one. It's that easy. If we create a table with specific formatting, we can also save this as a template. We just select the table that we've created and click the Save to Quick Table Gallery button at the bottom of the Quick Table menu. Then the table with the specific formatting will be saved for a future use. Whenever you create or select a table, the Table Tools Design and Layout tabs become active in the ribbon. The Design tab allows you to easily apply table styles, borders, shading, and more. You can turn on and off header rows, first and last columns, as well as banded rows. All we need to do is check a box. Let's explore these options by adding a table style to one of our tables and looking at how turning on and off these different rows and columns change the look of the style. Let's click inside the first table we've created in our document and then go to the Design tab under the Table Tools. Now we'll select a table style with column and row labels already defined by color. Let's go ahead and uncheck the header row in the table style options to turn the heading style off. We can check it again to turn it back on. Let's do the same with the first column checkbox. The first column formatting has also been removed. Once again, we can click the first column checkbox to return it to the style formatting. The last column checkbox works the same way. Banded columns and banded rows format even and odd columns and rows differently so they're easier to read. We'll turn the banded row off and back on to see the difference. The total row checkbox is used when creating a row for math totals. We'll cover adding math equations later in this lesson. The Border Painter tool is new to Word 2013. It makes applying different border widths, colors, and styles to your table easier than ever before. We'll create a blue border with a weight of 3 points and apply it to the top border of the cell in our first table. We'll choose the color blue from the pen color button in the Borders group. Then click the drop-down arrow of the border weight field and change it to 3-point. Now we'll click the Border Painter button to make it active. We can click the top border of our first cell to apply the new formatting. When we're finished, we can click the Border Painter button again to turn it off. The Border Sampler works in conjunction with the Border Painter and lets you copy one border style and apply it to a different border. For example, we'll take a sample of our blue border by clicking the Border Styles button in the Borders group under the Table Tools Design tab. Then click the Border Sampler option. Notice the cursor becomes an eyedropper. Now we'll click the border that has the formatting we'd like to apply to other borders. Our cursor changes to a paintbrush similar to Format Painter. We'll click any of the table borders we want to apply our sample formatting to, and they will be changed. The Table Tools Layout tab allows you to easily insert rows, columns, and format text and objects within cells. You can also create new margins for your cells. The Layout tab has several different groups. It has the Table, Draw, Rows and Columns, Merge, Cell Size, Alignment, and Data groups. The Select button in the Table Tools Layout tab allows you to easily select cells, rows, and columns in Word 2013. Let's use the Select button to select a cell. We'll click inside the cell so the mouse cursor is blinking. Next, click the Select button in the Table group under the Table Tools Format tab and click Select Cell. Now the cell is selected and we can add different formatting to the cell. Now we'll click off the cell to deselect it. We can also select an entire row and even an entire column. We'll click in the first cell in the first row, click the Select button, and choose Select Row. The row is now selected. Let's click in another area to deselect the row. Now we'll do the same for the column. Just click the first cell in the column, click Select, and then choose Select Column. And now the column is selected. There are a few different ways you can adjust the width of individual columns. Let's increase the width of the first column in our first table. We just position our mouse pointer over the edge of the column and then drag it to the desired width. We can also increase or decrease the width of our second column. We'll use a different way. First, we'll select the column, then go to the Layout tab, enter our new width in inches in the Cell Size group, and the cells will be adjusted. You can also adjust the width of your table's columns. Let's set the size of all columns in our second table to 1.5 inches. We need to select the entire table and enter 1.5 into the Table Column Width field, located under the Layout tab, to adjust the columns to the desired size. We could also use the Distribute Columns button to the right of the Table Column Width field to make all of the columns the same size. Rows can be adjusted in the same way, only by using the Table Row Height field. They can also be distributed by using the Distribute Row button to the right of the Table Row Height field. There are also a couple of ways you can add a new row or new column to your table. We can add a row to our first table by selecting a row, right-clicking on it, and selecting Insert, then choosing either Insert Rows above or insert rows below. We'll choose to insert our row above the selected row. We can also insert a cell or column using the same steps, only choosing the applicable option, such as insert column to the left or insert column to the right, and choosing insert cells if we'd like to insert a cell. Another way to add a row or column is from the Table Tools Layout tab. We'll insert a column this time. We'll go to the Layout tab and choose the Insert Left button from the Rows and Columns group. And a column will appear to the left of the column we have selected. Word 2013 gives us a new option to add rows or columns simply by moving our mouse over a row or column. When we mouse over the row, a plus sign appears. We can click the plus sign to add a row. Columns work the same way. We just move to the top or bottom of the column and then click on the plus sign when it appears to add a new column. You may find that you have too many cells, rows, or columns and need to delete them. Let's explore this by deleting a cell, row, and column in our document. Let's select the last column in our table. Then navigate to the Layout tab, go to Delete Group, and then select Delete Columns from the drop-down menu. Next, we'll delete a cell from our table. Click inside the cell, navigate to the Layout tab, go to the Delete Group, and then select Delete Cell from the drop-down menu. We can accomplish the same thing for a row or even our entire table using the same steps and choosing the applicable option from the drop-down menu. We could also delete cells, rows, and columns by right-clicking inside a cell, selecting Delete to open the Delete Cells dialog box, and then choosing the command we want and clicking OK. You may want to use your header row to add a title to your table. You can use the Merge Cells button to create one large cell above the columns below it. We'll merge the cells in the header of our first table by selecting all of the cells, then selecting the Merge Cells button in the Merge group under the Table Tools Layout tab. We can also split a cell. We'll select a cell, then click the Split Cell button on the ribbon. The Split Cells dialog box will open, letting us choose the number of rows and columns we'd like to split the cell into. Let's choose 1 row and 2 columns. Then click OK. We can even use the Split Table button to split a table by clicking the Split Table button below the Split Cells button, and our table will be split in 2. You can also do math in tables in much the same way that you would in a spreadsheet or in Excel. However, Word's math commands are much simpler, so they're easier to use. For this example, let's do a sum. To figure out a sum of values in a table, we create a table and then enter the values we'd like to add into their own cells. We can put the values in rows or columns. We should go ahead and apply any layout and design formatting to our table at this time. Just keep in mind you'll want to keep the last row or column empty in order to place the equation and the subsequent total into that cell. Now we'll click in the cell where we want to place the mathematical formula, then go to Table Tools Layout tab and click the Formula button in the data group. Now we'll select Sum from the Paste Function menu and click OK. Now you can see the sum of our values are shown in the cell.